Haha! Alright everyone, hello and welcome. And as you can see, things look a little different this time around. Today is Thursday, May 28th, 2015. I'm Darkside Phil, and I would like to personally welcome you here to Ask the King, the show where I answer your questions, whether they be from my forums on thekingofhate.com, whether they're posted on my Twitter, @TheyCallMeDSP, or my Facebook page, They Call Me DSP. And we go through them, and it's a chance for me to interact with you on a basis that normally I wouldn't do in, say, a gameplay video, okay? And I do this once a month. For those who are newcomers, who maybe have just started watching my content recently, it is open, meaning anyone can ask a question. However, if you do become a patron of my work through patreon.com/darksidephil and you pledge $20 or more a month, you can get your questions guaranteed answered on the show. It's one of the high-level perks for people who pledge to my Patreon account. And we actually have 3 of such people who actually took advantage of that this month, who will be answering their questions. Now, you may be saying to yourself, wow, if I'm a long-time viewer, this looks a lot different. Yeah, if you see behind me, I almost said memory foam again. What is it with foam? I always call it memory foam. Soundproofing foam, ladies and gentlemen. And hopefully this is going to come through in all of my voiceovers and all of my content moving forward, where you're going to be able to hear much better audio quality from me when I do my commentary. And this is all thanks to the patrons. The patrons funded this through several months of pledges, and I now have 48 square feet of this soundproofing foam in my office. I almost could call it a studio at this point because it is so acoustically controlled. It's climate controlled. I have an air conditioner in here now, and I'm having a lot of fun. And it's great. I mean, it's for the first time since I started this in 2008, I feel like I'm doing this like a professional. I feel like I'm doing this, at a level that I never really hit before. With the visual quality now of my videos, the audio quality, everything is hit a cool level. And I'm happy to be doing it for you daily. Okay, so thanks for that. Thanks to the patrons who made it possible. Just wanted to get that out of the way. We've got a ridiculous amount of questions. In fact, I'll be honest with you guys. Every month I say this, I really think that I picked too many questions. Look, 6 pages of questions, over 40 questions, too many. I'm probably going to end up having to weed some of these out over the course of the show. As you guys know, typically this is around a 2-hour-long stream/show, and I cut it up into, say, 30 to 40-minute segments. We may go over this time. I don't know. It may be so much content, so much to talk about that we go over a little bit. And if we do, that's fine. I'll have to have an extra part or whatever, right? So just understand that if you are watching this on stream, that there will be some breaks for me to rest my voice every, half hour or so. If you're watching this on YouTube, it'll be several parts. This is part 1, and you can just watch the other parts, okay? So without further ado, I want to jump right in because there were some really good questions this month, some really pertinent topics, current events and stuff happening that I want to address, so let's get right to it. The first question was a common question. This was something that lots of people were asking me on Twitter, and places like that, sending me emails about it and wondering my thoughts, so I want to address it, being that I've been around the block. I used to be a part of the competitive fighting game community, the FGC, right? It's kind of an infamous term these days. And I know what it's like in that community when it comes to game releases. And this week in particular, there was a very controversial thing that happened. There was this new version of Ultra Street Fighter 4. Now, you might say, Street Fighter 4, good lord. That game's been out since 2008 in arcades, 2009 on consoles. It's a really old game at this point. How long are people going to keep playing this freaking game? And the thing is with Street Fighter, unlike other competitive communities, right? Street Fighter loved to cling to games that they like. And let's face it, Street Fighter 4 was a game that reinvigorated the Street Fighter community. It really did. At a time when fighting games were kind of dead, Street Fighter 4 completely brought fighting games back into the mainstream eye of gamers. It became a huge thing, so many millions of copies sold and all the different iterations, and it reinvigorated fighting games. Now you have huge level tournaments that really weren't existing before Street Fighter 4 made fighting games popular again, okay? So, all these years, we had the Xbox 360 version and the PS3 version, and then later on the PC version. And we had all these discrepancies between what is the definitive version. One version has input lag here, one version has input lag there. And quite honestly, when the game was released, I was pissed because EVO, the national tournament for Street Fighter, which is the nationals for the United States at least, chose the PlayStation 3 as their definitive version of the game, and the game wasn't as good as on the Xbox 360. It actually had more input lag, frame droppage, it had a lot of issues, and competitive players kind of spoke up And I hate to say it, but Shoryuken swept it right under the rug and said, oh, well, we have a partnership with Sony. Tough shit. We're running it on the inferior version. We don't care. After years and years of this happening, finally their partnership with Sony ended, and Evo said, okay, now we'll adopt the Xbox 360 version because it's the better version. Gee, thanks. You only had like, what, 3-4 years with the shit version before you adopted the better version of the game. So, I digress. People have been looking for the definitive version of Street Fighter 4 since it came out and wondering what is the best version. So, for the past several months, there's been these promises from Capcom, from Sony, because Ultra Street Fighter 4 was being ported to the PlayStation 4, and it was supposed to be full 1080p, full 60 frames per second. We were actually promised it was going to be the best version ever with the lowest input delay of any version. Actually, that was the selling point. They said, did you have problems with that pesky input delay on PS3? Well, guess what? PS4 version won't have it. It'll be the best version ever. Now, a lot of people over the past several weeks asked me, they said, Phil, are you going to be getting this version? Because you were a big fan of Street Fighter 4, and yeah, you haven't played it a lot recently, but you know, this is supposed to be the definitive version. All tournaments, including EVO, have said they're going to adopt this version, and there'll finally be a consensus on what the tournament version is of Street Fighter 4. Are you getting it? To which I said, no, I'm not getting it. I'm not getting it, and it's very simple why I'm not getting it. I played the game multiple times. I played every version of the game since it came out in 2008 in arcades. I played the arcade version. I played the home console version. I played every expansion, everything. This new version isn't new at all. It's the same game, supposedly. It's supposed to be, as the previous versions. And I had no interest in it. I said, I'm done. This game, you know, in the minds of mainstream gamers, unless you're super into competitive gaming, Street Fighter 4 is dead. Most people have moved on. They're like, I want to see Street Fighter 5. Give me news of Street Fighter 5. There's even rumors right now that Street Fighter 5 may be released before the end of March 2016 because it's listed on Capcom's fiscal calendar as being a game released in this fiscal year, which means it would need to be released before March of 2016. So people have moved on, and I mean, let's face it, yeah, if you look in competitive circles, Ultra Street Fighter 4 still has the most turnout. Like, it beats out most other games. I think only narrowly is Mortal Kombat 10 now beating it because it's the newest game that came out. So yeah, it's cool. It's a staple of the competitive community, but I'm not in the competitive community anymore. I don't play the game in tournaments, so I really could give two shits about playing more Ultra Street Fighter 4. I'm in the mindset now. I'm going to play new fighting. I'm playing MKX. I'll be playing Tekken 7. I'm looking forward to Street Fighter 5, and people have even said, Phil, are you going to play Street Fighter 5 when it comes out competitively? Possibly. I don't know yet. But right now, I don't care about Street Fighter 4. To me, it's dead. I liked the game. I didn't love it. My favorite Street Fighter game of all time is Super Street Fighter 2 Turbo, and probably always will be, unless something great comes out that surpasses it, and I don't think anything has yet. So I'm done with Street Fighter 4. I was like, why would I give Capcom more money? You know what I mean? Why would I give Capcom even more money? It makes no sense. Why would I give them more money for the same product and I don't want to play it anymore? So, all of the FGC going crazy, right? Oh my god, it's coming out, the definitive version of Ultra Street Fighter 4. Of course, we're talking about the competitive FGC, because they are so still overhyped about fucking Street Fighter 4 for some reason. The game comes out this week, and guess what? It's a piece of shit. And I hate to say that I told you so, because I didn't say I told you so, because I didn't want to get involved. But the bottom line is me and people who have been in the fighting game community since the 1990s have been through this before, where you take a game and the core version is good, but then they port it and the port's a piece of shit. There were multiple times when the core game was ported and it was garbage. Capcom vs. SNK 2 was ported to multiple systems. And guess what? It was great on the Dreamcast. It was a piece of shit on the Xbox. Because on the Xbox, the hitboxes were all changed. Everything was different. It was a piece of shit. Alright? Same thing with Street Fighter 3 Third Strike. There were multiple versions of it over the years, but the only accepted one for tournaments was the Dreamcast version because the other versions had issues. Then, you know, fast forward to just recently, say about not even 10 years ago, people were looking for a competitive and definitive version of Super Street Fighter 2 Turbo. In 2006, I'm sorry, it was 2005, was it? 2005? No, I can't even remember. There was this game called Capcom Classics Collection 2. It was a port, not done by Capcom, but done by a third-party company where they ported Super Turbo to consoles, to the PlayStation 2. People thought it was great until after playing it for a few months, they realized there was a massive input lag, and everyone basically boycotted the game. Then, another version came out. It was Super Street Fighter 2 Turbo, what was it, Arcade Edition? I'm sorry, Anniversary Edition. This was supposed to be a version of the game that combined characters from every version, and within a year, people said, no, this game is, even if you just play a Super Turbo, it doesn't play like Super Turbo, forget that version. Then they had, seriously, there's this many ports. Super Street Fighter 2 HD Remix, and I got the HD Remix version made by, worked on by certain people, and, they're supposed to be people from the community, they know what they're doing. That version was discredited and written off. So it's like, over the years, you get so many ports of games that you want to play, but they always find that there's differences in the ports. And in particular, when you get a third-party company that ports it, it's a piece of shit. Like, traditionally, this happens. If you've been around the block, you know this. I've been around the block for Street Fighter. I know this. Okay? Apparently, people who came around just to play Street Fighter 4, you know what I mean? The Street Fighter 4 people who've been playing for 6-7 years, but weren't Street Fighter before that, don't know that. So they were all, wow, this is going to be the best version. It's some company called Other Ocean, okay, that ported this game to the PS4. You want to know what else they made? Mortal Kombat Arcade Trilogy for the Xbox. Guess what? That's a piece of shit, too. It lags. It's a piece of garbage, and it needed multiple patches after patch after patch to even make it playable on a semi-competitive level because it was such a bad port. And this company was chosen to port Street Fighter 4, and no one questioned that they were going to botch it. So what are some of the issues right now? Guess what? Insane input lag. They promised you the least input lag ever. Guess how much input lag it has? More than any other console. In fact, it added 2 milliseconds of input lag to the delay that the PS3 version had. So it's even worse than the known delayed PlayStation 3 version. The menus lag. The main menu says press start to play when there's no start button on the fucking PS4. You go into the game. Sonic booms are invisible. You can't even fucking see them on the screen. Characters are glitching out and having slow moves. It's a piece of shit. No surprise, it's a piece of shit. Again, if you've been around the block, people were very skeptical and said, why would I buy this? The problem was the fighting game community, who most of the people, I'll be honest, who were in this community came up when Street Fighter 4. They're not long-time players. They just came out of nowhere to jump on the hype bandwagon when Street Fighter 4 was released. Don't know this shit. So they ran out, and the game was like a bestseller, sold tons of copies. It's a piece of garbage. And everyone's like, oh, I spent my money on this. Yeah, because you were gullible. Because you fell for the trap. This is the trap that always happens with fighting games, and you fell for it. Congratulations. If anyone had asked if anyone had bothered to ask an elder statesman, which I do, I hate to say, I consider myself an elder statesman of the fighting game experience, I would have told you it's a piece of shit and don't get it, because unless the game comes out and it's told that, wow, this is a great port, I've never seen that ever. I've never seen a third-party company take a fighting game, port it, and it's good. So I knew it was going to be shit, but I wasn't going to play the game anyway, so I kept my mouth shut. Now it's out, it's a piece of shit, and the whole fighting game community is up in arms. Oh, Evo even came out and said, no, we're not going to run it on PS4, we're going to do it on Xbox 360 unless they fix it. Even the Capcom Cup, which I guess is like the official Capcom sponsored tournament line, said, no, we're not using it. So basically everyone bought a piece of garbage, and they're all out, what was it, $30 or whatever, because basically they trusted this company who already sucked and had a bad track record to do a good port, and they didn't. So that's the truth. That's what happened with the series. That's my thoughts, is if you did research, you would have known this company sucked. If you asked any elder statesman of the fighting game community, we would have said, no, don't buy it. But money is lost, by people who don't do their research, I guess. I don't even know what else to say, you know what I mean? All right. So, next question. Let's move on to questions now that were, asked on the forums. Let's see here. I'm going to shorten this question because this guy asked a really long question. This is from Anthony77FX, and basically what he asked was, what do I think about trailers that give away too much? For example, there's the new Terminator movie that's coming out. Supposedly, I haven't seen this trailer for it yet, but supposedly the new Terminator movie coming out has, like, critical plot spoilers in the trailer that you're like, what the fuck? Like, you spoiled tons of big things that supposedly are going on in the movie. And I guess the question here is, do you think that movie corporations should stop advertising their movies so much or to an extent that they're revealing a lot of information about the films? I agree and I disagree. You know what I mean? I agree and I disagree. Because here's why. It's a slippery slope. The less that you show in your trailer, potentially you're not going to get butts in seats. And I'll be honest with you guys. The movie Ted. How many people saw the movie Ted? I did, right? Seth MacFarlane film, about a teddy bear that comes to life and supposedly does funny shit, right? And that's kind of what the premise of the movie was. Now, if you know Seth MacFarlane, you know he's responsible for Family Guy, he's responsible for American Dad, he's responsible for a lot of stuff. Some successful, some not. Like the Cleveland Show, unfortunately, didn't do so well and got canceled, right? But he's got a good track record, and if you like his style of comedy, you probably figure, oh, it's a Seth MacFarlane film, I'll probably like it. The trailer for the movie Ted was terrible. It didn't showcase any of the real Seth MacFarlane-style humor that made the movie funny, probably because it was adult-rated humor. And they were afraid if they put that in the trailer, oh, you can't show that in a trailer. You know what I mean? So, more than likely, they wanted the trailer to be PG, but the movie was not. The trailer was terrible. The movie was great. I actually love Ted, and Ted actually ended up being a box office hit to the point where there's a sequel coming out. But that trailer, in my opinion, did not do service to the movie. And so that's kind of the fear that you have when you are making a movie and you're part of the press, or not the press, the marketing team, is that you want to make a trailer that represents your movie but doesn't give too much away. Now look at the flip side of that. What about a movie that gives away all the plot twists? Well, then why do I need to see the movie? In a nutshell, I just saw your movie, right? And so, am I really going to rush to the movie theater in 6 months when that movie hits theaters? And remember, movie theater ticket prices are going up exorbitantly. They used to be, less than $10. Now you're talking $20 just to see the regular version of a film, plus the insane amount of cost for any kind of food and drinks in there. Who's going to drop $50 to go see a movie in the theater when you know the whole plot premise, right? So, I agree and I disagree. It's a fine line that you need to dance on in order to find the happy medium that will advertise your movie, make it desirable to see, but not spoil the whole movie to the point where people don't want to see it because they know everything that's going to happen. In particular, a Terminator movie, in my opinion, doesn't need to give too much away. Terminator movie means there will be futuristic robots. There will be gun action. There will be big, budget action scenes, right? There's going to be sci-fi kind of stuff. There'll probably be some gore and some horror aspect to it. That's always been in the Terminator movies. You don't need to give away giant critical plot spoiler points that may be interesting if you see the movie in the trailer. But what that tells me, if you've got a trailer that's giving away too much, is that they don't have confidence in their own movie. They think, wow, well, it's Terminator, but it's kind of a shit movie, so let's just give away the few plot twists in the trailer so maybe people will come see it. That's lame. And what that tells me is probably that Terminator movie isn't very good. Now, I could be completely wrong, because as I've said, I've seen trailers that don't do justice to the movie, and that might happen. Where the movie isn't done justice in the trailer, you go see the movie, oh my god, there was like 10 more twists, and it was really interesting and fun, but we don't know that. So that's kind of the slippery slope, the balance, the double-edged sword you need to dance on when you're making a movie trailer, and you got to be careful. You really do. You have to be careful. I used to be, when I did trailers for Project 7, I would sometimes take the funniest moments, and sometimes I would purposely leave stuff out for the trailers that I would release, so as not to give away the entire episode, to give hype for the episode. And that's kind of what you need to do. All right, next question. This one is from Traditional Games. And this is an interesting question. I'm going to kind of cut out the first half of his question because basically he recaps what he asked last month. But he says, hey, Phil, last episode you didn't answer my question. I was disappointed as I thought that it was an interesting question. And then he recaps what his question was, so we'll just skip ahead. My question this time, what makes a question good enough to be picked if it's not a dumb question or a simple question? Are there any particular reasons why a detailed question that's asked may or may not be picked for a show? Also, if I were a Patreon, would my question have an increased chance of being chosen? Or did you just feel uncomfortable or unconfident in answering my question overall? When it comes to Ask the King, I get this question once a year. And it's a good thing to review, to talk about how questions get selected and answered, because, quite honestly, I think there are some people who maybe ask questions and they don't get answered, and they feel left out. I'm knocking the papers off my desk, by the way. They feel left out, or they're like, man, I feel like maybe I didn't do it right. And a lot of times that's not the case. Really what I try to do on Ask the King is, number one, I try to find questions that I think I could answer intelligently and entertainingly. One or the other, or a combination of both. If it's a topic that I know nothing about, usually I won't talk about it. If there is a question that has information presented in the question, and I answer based off the premise of the information presented in the question, that's another thing, but sometimes that blows up in my face. Remember years ago when I had the question about Minecraft, and people were like, oh, what do you think about Minecraft being a free game? And I was like, well, if it's free, that's dumb. Why would you give the game away for free? And of course, the answer was it wasn't for free. Only the beta was for free. The final version you had to pay for, and now it's one of the most popular games ever. And of course, I look like a fool because I answered based off of the information presented in the question, okay? But I digress. The questions that I choose for this show, I want to make sure that they're either informative or entertaining, or I have something to say. If I feel it's a question where I've already kind of answered it, then I'm not going to answer. And one of the questions in particular, the question that Traditional Games was referencing, was a question about Kojima and Konami, and how Kojima was supposedly mistreated by Konami, and how game publishers are mistreating people. And I talk about this all the time. In fact, I had specifically addressed the Kojima situation repeatedly, twice already. I didn't feel like this was another question where I needed to pull it out again and talk about it again. We all know what's going on right now in the gaming industry. We all know that some publishers are kind of being fucking weird. And it seems like they're doing, like Capcom for years, abusing the fans, laughing at them for wanting a new Mega Man game, doing all this weird shit, rebooting series we never asked for, like Devil May Cry, and then complaining after the fact that the games didn't make any money. It's like, well, you're an idiot. Did anyone ask for you to make this shit? No. That's why it sucked. That's why you didn't make money on it. So, you know, you get stuff like that, and then you got stories like Konami. What happened between Konami and Kojima? And it's all speculation. We can't really say for sure what happened, but Konami, you know, removing their stock from the United States stock market, which is a huge sign of a bad thing in the financial market for anyone who actually knows something about, you know, finance. And, you know, it is what it is. But I'm not going to answer every question. And even if your question could be a great question, if it's something that I don't feel that I have an actual good answer for at a certain time, I'm not going to answer it. You know what I mean? I'm going to go over, I'm not going to pick it. And that's kind of what happens, is some people feel like I'm purposely avoiding their questions or whatever. It's not true. And in particular, Traditional Games, I answer his questions a lot. So some people might be saying, oh, geez, he's complaining. I mean, I know, I answer his questions a lot. He does have a lot of intelligent questions. Just because I don't answer it 1 month doesn't mean that it's something against you. It doesn't mean that I didn't think your question was good. It might just be something that doesn't strike me at the time. Or maybe I have other questions and I did have your question, I cut it out. I don't know. All right. Next question is from Crinks. And Crinks asks the following. Would you consider doing a video where you do the best of last gen awards, where you could even have a fake audience behind you on your new green screen and put a suit on and make a cheesy version of the Oscars? You could do jokes and have categories with nominations like the best plot and plot twister, best heroes, villains, your favorite playthrough, etc. I think that would be a really great long style video, and it would give some great closure to the last few years of your YouTube career. Yeah, that would be a good idea, and I've actually talked about doing kind of stuff like that. Now that we are basically wrapping up the last gen, let's face it, there's less and less games being released for PS3 and Xbox 360. And within probably another 2 years, you won't even see games being released for those consoles anymore. Most people are adopting the next generation of consoles and getting used to playing games on those consoles. It's finally that 2-year period where we're kind of adjusting that. You know what I mean? All right, so, ladies and gents, all that being said, there's tons of potential of stuff that I could do in front of a green screen. What I need is a better camera, because I did try to do green screen stuff with my existing camera. It didn't look good. And I need a better camera that's going to have better light balance, microphone input so I could do audio while I do it. I could do all kinds of stuff in front of the green screen right now, but I can't do audio because I'm in my echoey garage when I do it. And without having a microphone there to capture my audio, I can't do it. So that's one of the things I'm trying to fund through Patreon right now, getting a better camera that has an audio input, and then we can go from there. Okay? Next question is from Ladies Man 2166, and he says, Phil, this question has to do with your younger years. Did you ever go through any natural disasters like hurricanes, tornadoes, fires, etc.? Okay, so to answer the question, ladies and gents, yeah, there actually were some natural disasters on the east coast of the United States that basically affect that region. A lot of people might say the east coast of the United States, that's like nothing. You know, you didn't live in Florida, you lived in Connecticut. That didn't mean we didn't get bad weather. In fact, we were affected by many hurricanes over the years. As recently as a couple of years ago, it was actually the fall, October of 2013, or was it 2012? I actually forget. I think it might have actually been the fall of 2012. But the hurricane hit us in October, and we had no power for a whole week. We're talking incredibly strong winds, downpours, humidity, nasty style weather. My parents in particular, after I moved away from them where they lived, and I lived in my own place, my condo in Connecticut, there were tornadoes that touched down a block away from my parents and ripped up not only the ground, but all the power lines and everything in that area. They didn't have power for almost a month at one point. So, that's basically the extent of the stuff that has really happened when I was on the East Coast. I've never been, like, in an earthquake. I've never been in a fire or anything like that, ladies and gents. So in that regard, at least I'm a little lucky that I really have never had I've never been affected by something that's a big major issue. Hurricanes always hit the East Coast of the United States, and it's unfortunate because the East Coast really, I still say to this day, has some of the worst weather in the United States because they get the most humid, nastiest summers. They get hurricanes in the fall. They get heavy-ass sleet, snow, and ice in the fucking winter. And the springs there are almost non-existent. They're going away. They used to be nice, beautiful springs. They don't get them anymore. So it's a lot different on the East Coast than when I was a little kid. The climate change is definitely in effect there. And, you know, I really didn't like it. That's one of the major reasons why I moved here to Washington State. Now, here, there's no hurricanes. There's no tornadoes. There is potential to basically have issues with mountains and volcanoes. Yeah, if you can believe it, some of the major mountains out here are still kind of dormant volcanoes that one day may actually explode. But for the most part, I'm not affected by it, and I don't think we're really going to have many issues with that out here. So that's the extent of natural disasters that I've kind of felt, okay? Next question is from Jamar, ladies and gents. And Jamar asks, hey Phil, I'm also a gamer such as yourself, but the issue I have is pretty much all the video games that I've played up to this point are fighting games. Now that I've been trying to branch out and start playing other games like Call of Duty and Minecraft, none of the games truly interest me and really make me want to continue playing them. In that regard, what kind of games would you suggest to someone who's trying to branch out from fighting games and play other games besides just fighters? That's a good question. All I can really tell you is from me, unfortunately, I wasn't just a fighting game player when I was growing up. So I can't really give you a perspective of someone who's like you, who maybe was really into fighting games and that's it. Because I always had a core where I grew up with platformers like the Super Marios, right? And you had RPGs like Final Fantasy. I had all that core in my blood, and I just kind of put that to the side for a while to focus on fighting games for about a decade, and then I put that to the side, and now I'm kind of back to being a jack of all trades. But what I would say is for those who are interested in games, if you're heavily into fighting games, man, there are other games out there that are competitive but aren't fighting games that are easy to jump into. I would say MOBAs, any game where you control like a small team of characters and it's competitive, where you're building and you're getting resource management, but you're also heading out and you're doing combat and stuff. It's similar to a fighting game. You need a lot of hand-eye coordination. You need a little bit more thought process because it's a lot more planning rather than on-the-spot reactions, which is a lot what you do in a fighting game. It's more long-term planning than anything else. Another game that I really like, I'll be honest, first-person shooter games. And he says, particular guy says he's not really into Call of Duty. Call of Duty to me is a game that's easy to jump into. You can play it for a few hours, learn the basics, and try to learn strategies that can make you a little bit more competitive online. For me, when you think a transition of fighting games to other games, I think competition, because really, fighting games, what keeps you playing that same game for 7 years? What kept people playing Street Fighter 4 for 7 years? The spirit of competition, the fact that it was a head-to-head thing. Not that you were just sitting there playing the computer. No, I doubt there's anyone out there who's played the computer in Street Fighter 4 for 7 years. You know what I mean? So, unlike these other games, I would say go to multiplayer games, go for things that are competitive, that you could jump in and you can easily adapt. I would not recommend to a fighting game exclusive player a JRPG. You probably will fall asleep and have no idea what's going on if you have no background in a game like that. You know what I mean? Okay, everyone. Next question. This one is from Aragami, excuse me, spelled with A-R-A, not origami, like the origami killer or anything like that. He says, hey Phil, what kind of games do you plan on playing during downtime? Would there be a possibility that you could go to older playthroughs like Parasite Eve, or an ancient one like Xenoblade Chronicles? Well, I'll answer your second question first. No. The bottom line is that once I get a game that I play to a certain point and I put it on hiatus, it's probably not going to come back if it's gone for a certain amount of months, okay? And I know a lot of people play the final half hour of Parasite Eve. Well, I haven't played Parasite Eve since October of last year. The game itself, from what I'm to understand, has an incredibly hard difficulty spike at the end of the game. And even though if I knew what I was doing and I was an expert at the game, I could probably beat it in about 30 minutes, do I feel like sitting there and beating my head against the wall for 2 to 3 hours to do the final boss fight, which apparently is incredibly hard? No. And the bottom line is, I'm not really interested in it anymore. I played Parasite Eve and I enjoyed it when I was playing it, but it went on hiatus for other stuff, and I really have no desire to get back to it. Xenoblade Chronicles I got fucking bored of. I'll be honest. It was such a long game, and unlike Persona 4, which has kind of a teen drama and angst and almost a side plot line with stuff going on versus the traditional JRPG gameplay. Xenoblade Chronicles didn't have that, and after playing it as long as I did, it stopped retaining my interest, and I said, I don't want to play this anymore, and that's why I stopped playing it. So, no, I'm not going to go back to a game like that. Now, you might say, all right, with the upcoming summer, what would be downtime games that I could play? Well, I'll be honest with you, I'm considering a few options. First thing I want to definitely play this summer is Metroid Prime. I never played any game in the Metroid Prime series, period. And Metroid Prime Trilogy was recently released on the Wii U. I got it, and I want to play Metroid Prime in particular because I never played them. And like I said, people are saying, well, you should play it. I definitely want to play that this summer. I'm debating a few things in my head. There's a few games that I think are so bad that they'd actually be funny playthroughs, but I don't know if I really want to reveal what those are yet. In particular, I'm going to be working on Project 7 this summer, which is going to include gameplay, but I don't know if I actually want to play a game and do a playthrough of it and then use the playthrough footage for Project 7, or rather I'd play it off stream, off camera, and just put it into Project 7 and not have a playthrough go alongside of it as well, because it might spoil a lot of the stuff in the show. So I'm not sure, in that regard, what I'm going to do there. There's a lot of things that I've always said for, I'd love to do this for Downtime. And, the question really is, when is the right time? Right now I've got Final Fantasy Type 0 that I bought a couple months back in April, and I was going to actually I take it back, it was March, holy shit. And I was going to do a playthrough of it, and everyone screamed at me, no, don't play that game. We'd rather see you do other stuff. So I did other stuff in place of Final Fantasy Type 0, and I never got back to it. And I don't think anyone's really asked me for it. So there's a game that, I bought, and I thought I was going to do his Downtime, and I don't know if I'm going to do it now. So, I don't know. I'm really, thinking that it's going to be a combination this summer. We might have some retro stuff, but we might also have some stuff, more modern stuff, some stuff that I never played. Maybe we'll have a replay of a game that I never did before, or a game that I did that I didn't do for YouTube, or a game maybe. There's a few things in particular that I want to do. I'll be honest with you. I've talked about this for a while. Suikoden. I love that line of RPG. I want to play it. I don't think anyone will watch it, but I want to play it. Lost Odyssey, another RPG, one of my favorite RPGs of the last gen. I really enjoyed the game, but it's long. I don't think anyone will watch it. Again, notice the games I'm talking about are RPGs, right? But in addition to that, there's certain games that I've wanted to play. I don't want to spoil too much, simply because I don't want to get too much into it and be like, reveal everything that I have plans for the summer. But the summer is going to be a unique combination of whatever's coming out that's new, me working on Project 7, me doing more Downtime stuff like Metroid Prime, balanced with Patreon-related stuff, and it is going to be fun. I think people will like it. It's just going to be... It's going to be a time just like last summer where there's not a lot coming out, and I hope that you'll come by to check out content regardless of the fact that it may not be super big mainstream game. You know what I mean? Because there is not going to be any of that during the summer. There almost never is. Now, the good news is apparently there's some new news coming out about games. I believe in July there's one coming out that someone mentioned to me, and I can't remember what it is, but apparently there's a big game in July, so that's good because usually there's nothing in July. We'll just have to see what happens, okay? Okay. Next question is from Woe Moses, and he says, hey, Phil, do you remember that Nothing But Praise video that you made about Lords of the Fallen, where you included clips of the extreme sarcasm, about the glitches and stuff in the game? Almost all the comments for the video are positive, and some people go as far to say that they usually don't like you, but the video is great. After watching your rant about Tim Schafer a few months back, it seems comments are very similar, and people seem to be agreeing with you completely. Would you consider making a rant series for whatever makes you angry? Maybe entitled Nothing But Praise For. It would have worked well for a few games in recent past, like Destiny, Titanfall, Evolve, etc. Listen, the thing is, and this is 1,000,000% true, and you will find this all over YouTube and all over the internet, people who are negative get lots of attention. People who are incredibly negative about stuff get views, because it's drama, and people love drama, because their normal lives are boring. Normal life where you go to school or you go to work from 9 to 5, you get home and you unwind, have a meal, and you play a video game or you jerk off or whatever the hell it is that your life is. Normal life is mundane. Before I ever did stuff on YouTube, my life was fucking boring. I admit it. Now, there's exceptions. If you have a family, if you have hobbies, if you have friends and you're doing fun stuff. But a lot of people just say, I need to escape from that. So when they go on the internet, are they going to look for, wow, I had a happy, fun time, and everything's roses and rainbows? Or are you going to look for, fuck shit cocks, I hate this motherfucking cock bullshit, motherfuck ass up the dick, or whatever? That's what you look for. You look for the rage, you look for the drama, because it spices up the mundaneness of life, right? And that's just one of the reasons why TMZ exists. TMZ claims it's a news source. It's not. It's a gossip piece of shit drama queen source for drama queens. For people who are into that shit and want to talk about celebrities. Oh my god, Justin Bieber grew a gray hair on his left ball sack. Let's talk about it for fucking 10 minutes and act like it's a news story. Who cares about Justin Bieber? If it weren't for these news organizations that are all about drama, no one would care about Justin Bieber, okay? But the bottom line is, it's true. The biggest things you'll find on YouTube are drama queen nonsense. People who literally blow shit out of proportion, or, oh, did you hear this? Did you hear this? Half the time it's unsubstantiated. Half the time it's speculation or it's bullshit. You'll hear people talking wildly out of their ass about stuff just for the sake of crazy dramatization to get views. Now, that's not what I do. On YouTube, I am honest. If I'm loving something, I'll talk about it. If I'm hating something, I'll talk about it. I'm going to give you my honest opinion. So when you're talking about stuff like Lords of the Fallen, which was a broken, complete piece of utter fucking shit on the PS4 when it launched, I'm going to fucking be honest about it. And in that regard, the game was so fucking brokenly bad, I made a montage about it because I thought the game was a piece of shit. When you talk about Tim Schafer, which actually we're going to address this later on because there's another question about Tim Schafer on Ask the King today. And we're talking about him using money, to make a game, and then supposedly the second half of the game is delayed for a whole year, comes out and it's a piece of shit. I'm going to call him out for that. I'm going to call him a thief because he is, and I'm going to say my honest opinion. But that's not every day for me. Every day I don't wake up in the morning, all right? And I don't wake up and say, gee, I could either play a fun video game and have fun with my viewing audience, or I could try to make some bullshit, talk shit about someone, start drama about someone to start up some drama and get views. Because I could do that. I could be the drama king of YouTube. And every day I could pull out a new game developer. I could pull out a new pro gamer. Oh, God. God knows the FGC loves talking shit about me when I never fucking really talk about them, right? Well, how often have I ever pulled out a player from the FGC and ever mentioned one, yet my name never left their mouths, right? How easy would it be for me to start drama in all these different things every day? I could start drama. But that's not what I'm about. I want to be a legitimate content creator. I care about video games. I care about you, the viewer. I don't think that I'm any more important than anyone else out there when it comes to video games or being an authority on anything. I really don't. And that's why I have morals and values, and I want to put out a product that I feel is entertaining and fun for the right reasons. If you're watching me play a video game and you're enjoying it, and wow, and you go out and get the game and you share that experience with others, and that's what I want. I don't want, well, I'm going to go check for Phil's videos today and see what shit he's talking about someone today and see what drama he's blowing up today. That's not the point of my content. All right? Yeah, if someone just made a comment, Phil Rez Hilton. Yeah, Perez Hilton. A guy whose entire life he's made his living, and he's rich, filthy fucking rich, talking shit, revealing gossip. That's not me. There's people out there, there's people on YouTube right now, that's all they do. And I know because there's a few people, Phil, did you hear what this guy said today? I don't give a fuck. Because that's not me. I'm not 12. I'm not a drama queen teenager who needs to talk about this shit. I'm here to have fun and enjoy gaming and share my experiences with you, period. That's what I'm here for. So every once in a while, if something really pisses me the fuck off, sure, I'll make a video about it. But you're not going to hear me talk shit every day about someone just for the sake of it, and that's what these people do. That's not what I want to do, okay? So, in that regard, I just want everyone to understand that. People say, Phil's the king of hate. Has nothing to do with me hating on people, hating on game devs, hating on games. That's never been what the title meant ever, but people are so fucking dumb, they just make shit up in their heads. Oh, well, it says hate, it must mean he hates on everyone. No, you made that up. I never said that. That's not what I'm about. So, even though it would be very possible that I said nothing but praise for every game that I play and I only highlight the negatives, you know what I mean? It would probably be incredibly popular, but all my content would be negative. And that's not what I want. I want my content to be fair and balanced. If a game is sucky, I'll say it. If a game's good, I'll say it. I'm playing The Witcher 3 right now. Almost no one's watching me play The Witcher 3 right now. I don't fucking care. The game's great. I'm also playing MKX online right now. That game's a piece of stinky dog shit when you play it online. It's a laggy piece of shit. Tons of people watch me play it because I complain about it the whole time, and they like the drama. Well, guess what? I'm not going to stop calling out the game for the sake of, you know, anything. If the game sucks, I will say it. And MKX sucks online. Witcher 3 doesn't suck. It's a great game. Regardless of views, I'll keep playing it. That's who I am, and that's why I remain true to myself, and I really feel that if you watch my content, you're going to get my true feelings about stuff, and not me doing stuff for drama's sake, like a lot of people do, just to stir up attention with them. Oh my god, I didn't get any attention this week, I got to make some shit up, you know, talk drama. No, that's not what I'm about. That's not why you're not going to see me do series like that. I'll do one from time to time when I feel it's pertinent, but you're not going to see me just fucking do it for the sake of attention and getting views, because I'm not a whore. That's the bottom line. I'm not a whore. I'm not going to whore myself out. I'm going to be legitimate. That's how I've always been. All right. So we're going to take a quick break here, everyone. We're going to come back and continue on. I just knocked my microphone. We're going to come back and continue on with more Ask the King. We've got tons of questions to get to. Thanks for being here. If you're watching this on YouTube on demand, check out part 2. If you're watching this on stream, it's just going to be a short break here, and we'll be back shortly. Thanks for watching, and I'll be back in a moment.